Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. It is June 13th. Wow, how do we get 6 months into it? It's almost the summer solstice. And this year on the summer solstice, we have the full moon in Capricorn. So that's going to be interesting energy that I'm going to talk about. Today is my kids' last day of school. I know for a lot of my clients in Lower Merion, it was yesterday. So if you are a parent listening to this, hallelujah. We made it through another year. I am always done by the end of the year. Honestly, probably since we came back from spring break, I was kind of done, and so are my kids. But the last 3 weeks, it's like, I don't want to pack a snack. I don't want to pack lunch. I don't want you to do any homework. I don't want to do any of that shit. I know I'm not alone there, but we are ready, and I hope everyone has a fantastic summer. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback about my last episode, so thank you guys. I love getting those messages saying about how this podcast has helped you, what you guys think about it. That really gives me a lot of encouraging words to just keep pushing forward and keep doing this. I mean, this is my 231st episode, and like I had said on many episodes, I'm nowhere near where I thought I would be, 230 episodes ago, but I'm so happy where I am. I love giving this to you guys, and I give it to you guys for free. Ask for nothing, just support, Send this to someone that you know. Rate, review, subscribe, and honestly, even just messaging me and saying, hey, I listened to it, hey, I love this episode, this is how it helps me, that gives me so much juice. It really does. So thank you guys for that. And if you did not listen to last week's episode, definitely go back and listen. A lot about Gemini energy, but also when we had the Gemini new moon, I talked about how to control our mindset. So there's some tips there that you can take into every astrology season, not just Gemini season. So definitely, if you did not listen, go back and give that episode a little bit of a listen. This was the last week of school, as you guys know, and so I hope to get this out yesterday, but we're going to talk about a little bit of the beginning transits of the week, and maybe it will make sense. On Sunday, Mars moved into Taurus. Tuesday, Mars squared Pluto, so Mars in Taurus squared Pluto in Aquarius. Wednesday, that was yesterday, Mercury in Gemini squared Saturn in Pisces. And as I said in previous episodes around the Pisces, of course, my kid's father and I, baby daddy, we got into a little tiff yesterday. It's so funny. Since Saturn, he's a Pisces placements, I have the Gemini and the Virgo, and we tend to actually have communication mishaps quite often, but usually we get over it. But it's been harder for the last year. It really has, through different transits. When it's the sun is in the mutable transit and it's squaring or going opposition or conjunct this Saturn and Pisces, him and I have some issues to work out, miscommunications. And, we go away together. We're very close. We're brother and sister. But let me be realistic. We definitely can still fight and annoy each other. And I'm like, thank God we don't live together. So that definitely happened yesterday. I don't know where any of my mutable signs are at. If you got into any little, arguments yesterday, you could say. Now, this week at transits, we got not too much. Today we're going to feel Mercury squared Saturn a little bit, but we have Venus squared Neptune on Sunday, Monday the 17th. Venus moves into Cancer. And then later in the afternoon, that's in the morning here on the East Coast time, Mercury moves into Cancer. So that is going to be, what time is that going to be? Oh, yeah, so I knew it was early in the morning, 2:20 a.m. East Coast time, Sunday into Monday. And then at 5:06 a.m. Monday, Mercury moves into Cancer. So when we wake up Monday morning, we might be a little bit more in our feels. We will now be moving out of Gemini, those planets, and into Cancer, which is a totally different vibe. Thursday, the 20th, the sun moves into Cancer. And then right away on Friday, we have the Capricorn full moon on the 21st. Like I said, the solstice and first day of summer. And with that full moon, we have, Mercury will also sextile Mars. So that's what we're going to be talking about on this week's episode. Now, before I get into that, I want to share just a few more things. I want to share a little bit more about Gemini season awareness before we hop out of Gemini season. That went too fast. Like usual, Mercury's always moving fast, and sometimes I feel like Mercury ruled seasons move extra fast, as opposed to Capricorn season, which kind of goes slow. Mercury season is full of movement and excitement and lots of talking and things to do and all kinds of things happening. So it's boom, it started and it ended. I don't know about you. I'm just where the heck did Gemini season go? I'm ready to thrive. It feels like I just entered it. So last week, I want to tell you guys a funny story at the salon. Saturday, I have a male client, and he owns a few businesses. He's in his mid-60s, and he travels all over the United States. So sometimes I see him, sometimes I don't, because he gets his hair cut quite often. So I saw him, I want to say, back in March. He tried to get in, but I was too busy in between then. And every time I start his hair, he always says he's kind of fascinated about my astrology. He's a Aries sun, a Scorpio rising, and a Cancer moon. So with that water, there's a little more intrigue, I feel like. And he always says to me, not that I believe you, that's what he starts with, but what's my horoscope? And so back in again, it was either the beginning of March or end of February, something like that. He had, he has Aries, and I was talking about that, and I said, well, actually, without getting into his chart, I was going to say the aspects in his chart, but I don't want to get into that. I said, I actually think, on this date, which was the big Aries solar eclipse, I was like, I think you're going to come into some big money. And now this is kind of a funny thing to say to someone who has a ton of money and owns businesses, but it was a very prevalent transit, that was going to be it's very obvious money and some sort of life path thing. I had no idea about anything within the business. And he said, really? He said, I'm actually supposed to sell one of my businesses. I'm not sure if it's going to go through or what's going to happen. I'm really just ready to get rid of it. And I, continue to kind of look at his chart. A lot of my clients, once I know their astrology, I kind of know what's happening. And I said, well, actually, I really think you're going to have no problem selling this. I think this is going to sell straight through, and this is going to be the dates. I gave him 3 dates, 3 days within each other that you're going to sell it. And he kind of laughed, and he said, look, I'm going to take care of you. If you're right about this, next time I see you, I'm going to take care of you. And I was like, okay. So I ended up seeing him on Saturday. I got him in, and, I didn't bring it up. I wasn't sure, so I let him bring it up because I didn't want to be you were wrong or whatever. And he's like, so, I brought something up. He goes, I got to tell you. He's like, I have never been more impressed. He said, not only did the sale of my business go very well, but you were exactly right with the date you chose. He was it was as soon as that date happened, everything happened, and it was a swimmingly, everything flowed together. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And he was like, you've made me a believer, my daughter's a believer, my wife a believer. He's like, my daughter wants a chart reading with you. I was like, wow. And he definitely compensated me financially very well, more than I even thought I was like, you do not have to do this. He was like, no, I told you, and I can't even believe how right you were into the fact that you got the date. So I wanted to share that with you. That made my whole weekend, made my whole day. I was like, wow, most people meet this astrology with a negative attitude, not a negative, but a doubtful attitude, I should say. And a lot of my clients, they just hear me talk about it, even if it's annoying or not. And a lot of people, other than some Capricorn, some Taurus placements, they're not usually too open about it. But, it was him having the water placement. I thought, okay, he might be a little bit more open about it. So I don't know. I just want to share that. How exciting is that, guys? So I am slowly, this stuff does not lie. The more you study it, even if you're not studying professionally, you're studying in your own life and understand the transits. It's literally I don't know, written science, written math, 2 + 2 equals this transit. It's that once you know the underlining of what everything means, and then coupled with your own intuition is that. So, okay, now let's jump into Gemini season awareness, and then we'll get into the transits. This episode might be a little bit longer, so probably around 30 minutes, so feel free to move ahead out of this. But this is some Gemini season awareness. I have been sort of bothered this last kind of week or so about, it comes and goes, but I don't know, I get lost in thought different times. It's the Gemini, the Virgo, and me in the mind. And I was thinking, how did we collectively get to where we're at in this world? How did we collectively create a world where all we want to do is escape? Because everybody is so stressed out. Our daily movements have become stressful. Getting online is stressful. You're either looking at the news, reading about horrible things happening, or you're on social media and you're comparing your life and you don't know how to not compare your life on that. So people are fucking stressed out. And, the other half of that time when we're out of stress is spent calming our nervous system, right? And yes, there's a lot of us who calm our nervous system through walking and hiking and meditation and all the things we should be doing. And I try to, but even I'm guilty sometimes of just calming my nervous system through smoking weed. Calming our nervous system down, and it's through substances, right? I mean, alcohol abuse is through the fucking roof than it's ever been. I can't believe how many functional addicts I see, alcoholics I see out there just like drinking all day like it's nothing. Weed, other drug substances, gambling, sex. Everything is about literally escaping the very existence of living. And that like really got me going and kind of got me sad. I'm like, how did we create this world? And what are we doing to our children? What are we showing them? Kids are stressed out more than they've ever been because parents are stressed out more than they have ever been. I had a psychologist yesterday, a client. I have a lot of psychiatrists and psychologist clients. And we were discussing that. And she's maybe 70. And I was asking her with her clients. And she said the number one thing is the rat race of life. That she sees people are stressed out. Like they have to keep up with everything. They have to do a million things every time. She also says with kids, social media is really, really bad with causing the stress. And the news, just like the things I had said, she just confirmed, I had wrote these notes down. So, how do we break out of this? And it's not going to be everyone. It's going to have to be individually, us as a whole, everyone listening to this podcast, and then that energy will be contagious. How do we break out of what we've created? It's very sad. There's so many beautiful things in life, and it's either sped stressed or escaping the stress and calming us down. So I kind of came up with some different things that you guys can take throughout your day to, ground yourself back in and practice not being in that stress all the time. Practice breaking free from it. Where I think, and these are some Gemini traits that I think actually will help you. And I think that if you meet a lot of Geminis, you'll actually find, for the most part, it doesn't mean that every sign goes through their dark times. They definitely do, and their hard times. But if you meet a Gemini, they tend to be overall kind of happy or like break out of things, because they don't necessarily get caught up in the societal norms. They usually like to do the total opposite of the norm. So everyone gets stressed out because they're caught in the norms, the trap that that society makes you see when that's not really the truth. So here's some of the things I was thinking about. Now, what kind of Gemini energy can we inhabit for a while to help break away from these daily stressors? Here's the number one thing. Stop caring what people think. Now, I know on 2 episodes, I already talked about that, so go 2 episodes back, and I can go into why Geminis don't care about what people think. But that is number one. So much mental stress is brought on, and I know this personally from, having heart-to-hearts with my clients all day long, is brought on with worrying about what others think. What's someone going to think if I wear this? What's someone going to think if I don't sign my kid up for this? What's someone going to think if I was just reading, there's these debates online that parents will just let their kids get into the pool and consider that a shower in the summer. Well, hell yeah, I do that too. Are you kidding me? Bedtime routine's a pain in the ass. So when my kids get in the pool, I'm like, yeah, they don't need to take a bath or a shower tonight unless they want to. Like, really? That's what I mean. That every moment now, and I blame that on social media, everyone is so hypercritical of everything, or they're worried about being critiqued and hypercritical because all they're seeing online is people making comments about how people live their life. So this is a good thing. One of the biggest mental stressors is caring what people think. So in that moment, like I said, just kind of like I talked about last week, when you're thinking mindset thoughts about like, I'm not enough or I don't have enough money, we're going to stop ourselves, and it's going to be a really simple mantra. When you catch yourself worrying, if I go sit at that restaurant by myself, or, I take a sick day today, what are people going to think? You're going to stop yourself and you're going to say, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Just that simple. And if you don't want to use the F word, don't use it. However, I think it adds like a little extra oomph in our mind. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. If you practice that, you start to gain that. I truly don't. Now, that doesn't mean, like I said, I think on a couple weeks episode, that I don't have my moments where I like feel a little bit like maybe embarrassed for a second or sad. I do. But those moments now, for me, if they do come up, do not last very long. they might last 5 minutes at the most. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Colleen? It doesn't fucking matter. None of this matters. None of this exists. It's just all made up. So practice that this week. I don't fucking care what people think. Look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, look deep into your eyes in the mirror. I'm telling you works, and say, I don't give a fuck what people think. Now, here's another thing. Which Geminis are very good at this, turning your hard times, the things that you go through, into laughter. Reframe it into your mind sarcastically. It helps with the realness. Some of you wonder why Geminis maybe come off insensitive, or maybe why they come off, things like that. It's really, we're reframing it. It's easier if you can make things sarcastic. It's easier if you can laugh at something. It literally takes a little bit of that power away. It really, really does. And when you reframe your mind with sarcasm and a little bit of laughter, it may not take away the issue, but it feels better, and you handle the issue better than you do sitting there upset, worried, stressed, and all those other things. I'm telling you, it almost just takes off the top foam pressure. It takes off the top of the volcano. And it still exists, but you're able to mentally focus, more. You're able not to be totally stressed out about it. You just sort of, it's like acceptance, really. I feel like adding that piece of laughter and sarcastic adds to the acceptance. Now, I'll talk about it later, Mercury moving from Gemini season to Cancer season. We definitely do go a little bit more so that's going to be important to remember this during Cancer season, going from sarcasm to more sensitivities. Again, detach from watching the news or social media. That is huge. This stuff is programming our minds on such deep levels. And again, it's leading to a lot of unhappiness. People can't detach from it. So how can you detach? Well, years ago on social media, one of the things I did when we're talking 7 years ago, when I first started really getting into social media or posting my stuff, I'm also guilty of comparison, right? Oh, I don't have that body. I don't have that money. I don't have those things. But as you know, I've spent a lot of years also working on my mindset separate from astrology and doing everything that I needed to do, all the workouts. So one of the things I did was every time I felt myself feeling that little bit of jealousy or not good enough, or those feelings, is, let's say I scrolled past a picture and I was like, I can't believe that bitch has that perfect body. I would stop myself. I would make myself go back up to that photo. I would look at it. I would think 2 or 3 positive things about it, whether I believe, and I would like it. That's what I would do. And then what I started to realize and reframe my brain is, when we compare ourselves, and even as something as simple as comparing yourself on social media, you are literally putting that energy out there to the universe and saying that you don't deserve it. You don't deserve that. I know it sounds crazy, but by comparing yourself, by not feeling good enough when you look at these images, which are all slightly not fully true, let's add that too. I mean, some are true, but yes, a lot of stuff out there is, you only see the perfection side of social media, which is the problem. You don't see the imperfections of it. Is that I started to change my mindset, and I said, well, that's a really nice Lamborghini. Like, maybe I could have a Lamborghini one day, instead of being like, how do those rich people have that? I said, maybe I could. I reframed everything in a very positive light, because that if you want to receive, you cannot push out with jealousy. You can't. That literally works the total opposite. Or push out with anger, or push out with annoyance. You literally have to change again in the moment and reframe yourself. So now when I look at it, I also, I see the inside of everyone's world, so I know the imperfections that people go through. So it's less like, I know that everyone has their shit, and I'm telling you as a hairstylist, everyone has their shit. Everyone has their unhappiness. Everyone has what they compare to other people and those type of things. But that's something you can do. Stop believing that you can't achieve those things, that you can't have love, that you can't have this, you can't have that. When you feel those feelings on social media, change them in the moment. Do you get what I'm saying? It's all about changing in the moment, and it's a practice over and over and over again, and that's how we reprogram our brain. Now, as far as the news, that's fucked, so just don't even fucking watch it. There's nothing good on there. If it's something major you need to know about, like a nuclear bomb, you're going to know in seconds through social media or people calling you. But every day, the stresses and the worries you're filling your head up with, and that is going to your subconscious, also creating unhappy feelings. Trust me, give yourself a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without reading any news and see how far you come. As well as when you do look at the news, start paying attention to when the beginning you start reading and about 10 minutes into it, how does your brain start changing? What do the voices start telling you? And what do your emotions start feeling? That's what you need to do. Okay, I went on for 20 minutes. That was a little bit longer than I thought I was going to do about Gemini season awareness, but here we go. You guys got it at the beginning of the episode. So now let's talk about Mars and Taurus. So Mars is actually not working at his best in Taurus. It's in its opposition sign of Venus's sign. So, you know, we go from Mars and Aries, where it's working at its best. It's at its home sign, speed, doing everything, going a million miles an hour, just on fire and loving it, into Taurus, where it's an instant, I'm going to clap, slow down, like boom. And I know a lot of us, especially when a planet first ingresses into the sign, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we slowed the fuck down. We had low energy, not a lot of drive to do things, maybe feeling a little more agitated. And again, a sudden halt. There also may be this energy of sick of staying put, but knowing that you really can't escape, but you're just kind of feeling sick of being put. There is a power to your stubbornness a little bit there, right? So if you are being stubborn, which the fixed sign of Taurus is, there's like a little added power there. So a little bump to your stubbornness. There is aggressive energy around love, maybe a little more jealousy, maybe just like more aggressive actions, maybe even more passionate, strong, F me energy. Sudden change in desires. Mars is now starting to, exchange energy with Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus and it has another year there. And they will conjunct one another. So there is this, again, with Uranus, there's this sudden change. So Mars there could be this just switch up in your own mind of, again, wanting to escape, but knowing you can't escape, but also maybe as this, transit plays out for the next couple weeks, a change in your desires of what you seek for love, what you feel of love, sexuality, your sex, it might come and go. This can also bring, it's weird. It's like Mars and Venus, you look to both of those to the sex. So at sometimes, in some ways, I feel like it can spice up a little bit for people who aren't normally spicy, but I kind of feel like this transit with Mars and Taurus kind of slows down and makes people a little bit lazy, maybe when they are more spicy in sex, if that makes sense. But, sex ebbs and flows too, just like everything in this world. Not everything. That's what we need to teach our boys and our men, because they're all getting so, so screwed up on porn, thinking that everything is like a porn scene, and it's not. Sex is something that just ebbs and flows like everything else about us. Come to my sex talks. What was her name? The one in the 90s with those big red glasses. I can't remember her name. Now, Mercury squared Saturn, like I said yesterday. We're going to feel this energy still a little bit today. There can be an unwanted truth, a sudden detachment towards boundaries, or rebelling against those boundaries, feeling spacey or blocked when it comes to the right words, or even thinking totally. There's a miscommunication, like I had with my baby daddy yesterday, like a block of miscommunication where things just aren't being said correctly, especially for my mutable signs. You guys are going to be feeling this the most. So that's the Gemini, the Virgo, the Sagittarius, and the Pisces. Intuitively blocked. A low drive again. Next week, this next 2 weeks are a little bit of a low drive. I got to be honest with you, especially from coming from moving season of Gemini season. It's a little bit of a slowdown, which can be welcomed. Not really coming together again in communication, but you may discuss a plan for the future to help move you both past that block. Yesterday and the day before, actually, my kid's father and I got into an in-person little bit of a tiff the night before, and we did actually come up with a solution. I said, look, we're going to therapy. I was like, because we in the last year have been having this, and I don't feel like getting in these discussions. I'm not saying it's totally you, and I know it's not, it's both of us, right? And so we came up with a solution to try to find a therapist for both of us together to work through this co-parenting, miscommunication, because right now we both are kind of hating each other. And so something like that, you're not really coming together, but you are now thinking of future moves so you guys can come back together in some sort of communication. Now on Sunday, Venus squared Neptune. This is a very quick transit. Again, Venus is on her way out of Gemini. When they meet with Neptune, the outer planet, it's very quick. Neptune's in the late degrees of Pisces. So we're going to feel it Saturday night into maybe Monday morning, mostly Saturday night and Sunday a little bit. And that could be, telling yourself the truth about another or seeing the truth around your feelings towards someone. With Venus, we look to our feelings, our joy, our love, our comfort. And Neptune, there's a little bit of a dreamy state there, but when it's in a square with other planets, kind of like when it's in a square with Mercury, there's a lot about seeing the truth. So you're either really seeing the truth of your feelings, or, maybe you're a little blurred on your feelings. Maybe there's a little bit of lost in a dream world, but it's not that great to be lost in that dream world. Taking the party a little too far, getting caught up in a love affair. Dun, dun, dun. Again, this is a quick transit, so it's not like Saturn squared Neptune or something like that. It's something quick. So it might not be like totally get caught up, but just like a slight, maybe I shouldn't be, talking to this person type of thing. And not sure how you feel about someone. Realizing that the dream is not really your dream anymore. The truth will be revealed kind of transit, and detach, not dive. Maybe you're going to detach, but not dive too deep with someone. It's going to be like kind of surface, but feel dreamy, if that makes sense. Again, this is going to be a quicker transit. It's not a major transit. So sometimes things like this show up just a little bit smaller, in ways you don't think it would show up. But when you reflect in the day, you're like, oh, that's how that transit showed up. So again, that's mostly for my mutable signs. Now let's get to my cardinal signs. You guys are going to be starting feeling the energy next week. So that is my Aries placements, my Cancer placements, my Libra placements, and my Capricorn placements. So you guys lead the way. So like I said, we have the summer solstice, but before we get there, we have Venus in Cancer. So people with Venus in Cancer naturally, and then the rest of us will want to feel a little bit more security and love or friendship. And since we have Mars in Venus' sign of Taurus right now, we may actually feel a little bit more attachment issues, like insecure with our attachments. So that might play out. You might have some extra, insecurities with your attachments. We just saw, we see what was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm like, sometimes I can't read my handwriting when I send my notes. Okay. We just saw what we needed through what we don't need at this week's transit, last week's transits. Now, the moon this leading up to this week, next week, is going to be in Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn. Sag would be nice, but I hate when the moon's in Scorpio, and I don't love when the moon's in Capricorn. So at the beginning of the full moon, that's what I'm saying, next week is going to be some really interesting energy at the beginning of the week. Feeling feelings that you don't want to feel, or maybe they confuse you, or they kind of just come out of nowhere. They come on quick, but they leave quick, and they might come back on quick and leave quick again. We're going to want to spend more time with our family, mostly because we feel kind of insecure in our home environment and our love and our life. Reevaluating what our comforts are, what's familiar to us and what's safe and what's, maybe like a fake safe. And longing for a home, I feel like. Longing for the home feeling, especially with the moon in Capricorn. Then Mercury moves into Cancer, and we figure out how we align our home with our mind. Vice versa. That's always the thing I love with Mercury in Cancer. I feel like I already have plans. It's funny. I planned for one of my friends to help me kind of clean my house Monday and Sunday. The energy seems to feel a little more sensitive. Well, and again, like I said, Mercury's in Gemini, so it's much more about being sarcastic, being blunt, being truthful, not so emotionally charged. However, now we're a little more emotionally charged with Mercury in Cancer and a little bit more sensitive than we normally would be. It's slower moving. Cancers are slow moving, so this is a little bit more slow moving. We are going to be in our feels a little bit more, especially with the Capricorn full moon. Our mind will be more kind of like feeling and not thinking rationally about anything, being led by our emotions, not critical thinking. Again, Cancer placements with Venus there as well. Your mind is going to be focused on love, creating more love, which you guys love, in your life, new love, friendship love, circle of friends, family time, and talking with old friends, families, and lovers. Now, let's talk about this Capricorn full moon. The moon in Capricorn, the sun is in Cancer. So we got the moon in Capricorn, the sun in Cancer, and when they both meet up at they go in the exact opposition, creating the full moon. My cardinal placements, like I had just said, my Aries, my Cancer, my Libra, my Capricorn are going to be feeling this the most. So on June 21st, we have the summer solstice. At the same time, the full moon is going to be opposite Venus, opposite Mercury, which are, newly in Cancer. And then it will have a sextile from Mars, so a little bump from Mars, but Mars isn't working at its best. So here are some of the themes that we're going to talk about. family pain, and also Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, right? That's Saturn's ruling planet. So Saturn's in Pisces right now at the end of the zodiac. So there's a lot about family karma or family pain or trauma coming to the surface, maybe through like something actual physical, or maybe just your emotions come out and catch you off guard and you have like a sad memory, or you have just some processing. During this time, you can actually also not quite, especially with Mercury and Cancer, not quite really pinpoint what you're thinking, but your body is processing some heavy energy that is moving out of you. Meltdown from not getting your way can happen. I'm sorry, Cancer, and the Mars and Taurus, you guys have some meltdowns. Feeling blocked, mind, body, and soul blocked. Hidden emotions coming to the surface. Both signs aren't very good at showing your emotions. Capricorn and Cancer, they aren't really. Cancer, it's weird. Cancer they have so many emotions, but they keep a lot of them under lock and key. Sometimes they will have these outbursts, but if you know them, you can sense that they're very sensitive, but they're not really expressing it outwardly about it. And Capricorn will just buy. Cancer will still kind of be nice to you. Capricorn will just like cut you off and you don't even know why they went silent on you. So again, those hidden emotions, especially for my signs, Capricorn, Cancer, my other cardinal signs, will be coming to surface. Stalled life movements. Again, like with that, the block with Capricorn, it's like all of a sudden this life movement you thought maybe you were going to move on Friday, and you just found out on next Friday that you don't move till Monday. Something happens. So again, like it's not something major. It's not like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my house. It just can be some movement about your life that weekend is stalled. Wanting to mope around, very sleepy, tired full moon, heavy emotional processing, like I had said earlier, mixed emotions, confronting black and white thinking. Both signs have a lot of black and white thinking, and with Mercury there's not really a ton of like thinking outside the box energy. Breaking through deep emotional blocks, so that's good too. And so with this full moon energy, this is going to be my suggestion. Do not push yourself. This isn't one that you want to push yourself. If you feel overwhelmed, overworked, tired, or have no energy to go out, don't do it. Stay in. Stay relaxed, okay? I'm giving you guys permission. Remember, you are the observer of your emotions. You are not your emotions, okay? And remind yourself, emotions are not facts. It's something that comes and goes in the moment. It's important we feel it, but know that the feeling will change and your emotions will pass. Again, this is a good full moon to be relaxed, be lazy, hide away, rest your mind and body. Make sure you recharge with water and by the water if you can. If you're near water, even if you're just near like a little pond in a stream, recharge there. Go there silently. Go there without distractions from the other world and recharge. And it's going to be important you drink lots of water. And you could also just take a really nice bath. So recharge by the water. And again, remind yourself, feelings are not facts. But I will say this, and I feel like I haven't said this on an episode in a while. You have to feel to heal. Okay? So understand that you're the observer of your feeling and you're processing it to let it go. And you have to feel that in order to heal. And again, both signs can kind of keep things within themselves and not let it go. So trust whatever is coming up. Observe it and let it go, but feel it. And that's why I'm saying don't go out and distract yourself, because it won't go good. If you're like, I'm going to go out and distract myself and like go to the bar and go sleep with a bunch of people, it's not going to go well. Feel, sit there, cry, watch a movie that makes you cry, and rest. And I promise you, when we get past this full moon energy, you will feel better. Whew, that was a long episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone who tuned in to the end of it and who tunes in every week. I could not do this without you. And just know I love, love, love giving this information out to you and sharing it with the world. So until then, like I said, I'm going to keep doing it until one day I realize maybe, but I'm just going to keep doing it. I love you guys and have a beautiful week.